Good morning, Boulder County. Today is Wednesday, September 24th. I'm Shay Castle, and this is the very first episode of The Frequency, a weekly podcast with all the local news you need to know, quickly and calmly. When Boulder Weekly stopped publishing earlier this summer, it left a gap in the local news ecosystem. I started this podcast to help folks stay connected with their community. So whether you're a Boulder Weekly reader and local news junkie or a newbie, thanks for being here. We are actively looking for sponsors. Please reach out if you or someone you know would like to sponsor our show and support local journalism. Your ad would go here, literally. Email us at boulderfrequency@gmail.com. Today, we're speaking with Melissa Johnson of the Left-Hand Valley Courier about minimum wage, which has been sparking debate and division among the people and towns of Boulder County. Next week, we're talking about one of Boulder's most persistent problems, homelessness. But first, the headlines. Boulder City Council approved a new type of short-term rental license to shore up accommodations for Sundance Film Festival, which will relocate to the town starting in January 2027. The new rules allow property owners to apply for a 29-day festival lodging permit and crucially do not require them to live in the home full-time, as with the standard short-term rental licenses. There are about 600 such licenses in the city, Boulder Reporting Lab reported. A final vote on the new ordinance is scheduled for October 9th. About 85,000 people attended Sundance this year in Park City, Utah, the festival's longtime home. At the same meeting, Council okayed requiring owners of large apartment buildings to pay into a fund to provide alternative transportation options to renters, like bus passes or bike and car shares. Some projects were already required to do this, but payments usually stopped after a certain time. This will make payments annual and based on the number of units in the building in perpetuity. This year is an election year, at least for local races in Boulder County. The election will be held Tuesday, November 4th. Mail-in ballots will start being sent out on October 10th. Voters will elect city council members in Boulder, Longmont, Louisville, and Lafayette, as well as school board members for Boulder Valley and St. Vrain Valley school districts. Boulder County has 2 tax measures on the ballot as well, for open space and mental health. I'll be talking more about the local elections on an upcoming episode, but if you want to learn more and hear from the candidates themselves, the League of Women Voters of Boulder County are hosting multiple candidate forums in Boulder on September 27th, Longmont on October 11th, and Lafayette on October 16th. Find a calendar of all 3 events at lwvbc.org. That's League of Women Voters of Boulder County. Boulder County first instituted a higher minimum wage last year, raising it from $14.42 per hour to $15.69, with a plan for it to increase every year until reaching $25 an hour in 2030. This was initially supposed to be a coordinated effort between all the municipalities in the county. That means towns like Longmont, Louisville, Lafayette, Boulder, as well as unincorporated areas that are under the purview of county government. The city of Boulder and Boulder County have actually been discussing higher wages since the state started allowing local governments to set their own minimums in 2019. But when Boulder County commissioners voted in late 2023 to increase wages, the city of Boulder did not join them. A split council decided to wait until an economic analysis was complete, at the request of leaders from multiple cities. That analysis showed that higher wages did not negatively impact local economies overall, while greatly benefiting low-wage workers. For context, the MIT Living Wage Calculator estimates that a single adult working full-time, no kids, no dependents, needs to earn $26.18 an hour to support themselves in Boulder County in the year 2025. Amid the disparate wages and the increasing costs of doing business under pressure like tariffs, some residents have started asking Boulder County to abandon its planned wage increases. Business owners in places like Niwot, which is under the county's control, and parts of Gun Barrel have been particularly vocal. The Left-Hand Valley Courier, a weekly nonprofit newspaper covering both communities, has been following the issue since the very beginning. I talked with reporter Melissa Johnson to learn what's happened, what's next, and how folks can get involved. Hi, Melissa. Thanks for joining me.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
The Left-Hand Valley Courier has covered at least 3 meetings in recent weeks related to the county minimum wage. What can you tell me about the latest developments? Where do things stand right now?
The Boulder County Commissioners, they have set a public hearing on what will likely be 2 proposals for altering the county's minimum wage ordinance. One is to pause the minimum wage ordinance, which is currently this year it's at $16.57 per hour, or align with what the city of Boulder's minimum wage ordinance is. Currently, the city of Boulder is at $15.57, and they're set to increase to $16.82 January 1st, 2026. January 1st is the day that minimum wage can increase each year. So, the tentative date for the public hearing is October 28th, so end of next month.
Those ordinances, were they a result of what residents were asking the commissioners to do?
Yeah, so these are mostly business owners. They're the small business owners in unincorporated Boulder County, which is Niwot, Hygiene. So there are some workers, but mostly business owners are who show up to these open mic sessions.
What are the business owners saying and or asking about how this is impacting them?
So the business owners are, if they have to, pay their workers more, then they're going to have to increase their costs. There was also farmers that showed up, and incorporated farmers currently can't compete with Weld County and Larimer County farmers. One solution doesn't fit all the communities. The local eateries, the stores, the farms, they're the ones that are being impacted in this situation. You have Hygiene Feed who has to compete with, a giant like Murdoch's, or, Niwot Market who, Niwot Market will have a higher minimum wage than Safeway, and Hygiene Feed a higher minimum wage than Murdoch's.
Have you talked to or heard from any workers who make minimum wage, how they feel about it?
There was what's called a fishbowl session that was in Longmont about a month ago. And, there was one worker, she works at a small restaurant in Niwot, and her fear is that raising the minimum wage is going to cause that restaurant to go out of business because they're going to have to raise their prices. Also at this meeting, there was representatives from the city of Longmont. So one representative, her name was Claudia Arona. She works with parents who have to work multiple jobs that aren't able to spend time with their family because they work multiple jobs. They have small children that are caring for smaller children, because the parents are working multiple jobs and, they're just not there with their family. So having a higher minimum wage in that scenario is going to allow the parents to spend more time with their families. So there's, both ends of the spectrum. And, there's the city budgeting analyst was also at the fishbowl meeting. The higher minimum wage will also impact crucial benefits like SNAP and LEAP, which is energy assistant, housing vouchers. So there's a lot of different impacts that this could have.
I'm glad you mentioned Longmont because we have a City of Boulder ordinance and then unincorporated Boulder County, but places like Longmont, Lafayette, Erie, Louisville, Superior, Nederland. Do we know what those communities, the conversation is like there? Are they planning to join one or the other or keep the wage with the state?
So for Lafayette, Longmont, Erie, Louisville, they were exploring the increases, but they don't have definitive decisions yet on what they're going to do. Superior, Nederland, they're currently remaining at the state minimum wage, and there's no further details on what they may be doing moving forward.
So it sounds like there's this planned October 28th public hearing and possible vote on these ordinances. Is there any other way that residents can get involved in this issue if they're interested?
Sure. So the Boulder County Commissioners do have a monthly open comment where citizens can come in. It's an open mic. They sign up to speak in person. They can also sign up to speak virtually. So this open mic is typically the first Thursday of every month at 9 o'clock at the downtown Boulder County Courthouse. People can also visit the Boulder County website. People can email commissioners@bouldercounty.gov and provide their input.
How can people find your work, support you, support the Left-Hand Valley Courier?
The Left Hand Barely Courier is an online publication that comes out every Wednesday. They also have a printed edition once per month. So online, they can visit lhvc.com, which is Left Hand Valley Courier. They launched a fundraising campaign in November 2024 with a goal of raising $250,000. The paper has raised $65,338, and they have donated $19,490 of those funds. So, they're also giving back those donations as well.
It's a huge percentage. That's like a third of everything they've gotten, they've given back.
Yeah, it's a great small town newspaper. And, I encourage people to go online and read it and subscribe and see what it's all about.
Thanks again to Melissa Johnson and the Left Hand Valley Courier. Let us know what you want us to cover in future episodes. Email your ideas to boulderfrequency@gmail.com. I hope you'll join us right here every week. Thanks for listening. But first, one more thing.
If you have a very judging mind in which you're judging yourself continually, then you see other people as judging you all the time. You tend to project outward what is familiar to you, which is the way you look at the universe. You assume other people are looking at the universe the same way.
What do you think patriotism in America should be right now, or what is it for you?
Generosity of spirit would help.
Are you seeing that?
Nope.
What worries you most?
What worries me most? That I don't see it. That it doesn't exist right now. If we have, I can't speak for your country, but my country is kind of, the strength of it is based on two parties representing two different ideas or ways of thinking, working together, fleshing out those ideas. That's kind of a democratic principle, but it's not at play right now. I think it's pretty obvious. You have two parties that are so opposed, it's really a house very much divided, and that's not very healthy in my mind.
The antidote to burnout is the perspective that you are a growing being and that everything, including your own life and your own death and approaching death, is an opportunity to grow.